Alright, so today I'm going to show you guys how to swap cap and rotor on small block Chevy in the way that I think is the fastest and most efficient way. So I'll go ahead and show you guys right now what I'm going to go ahead and do step-by-step kind of thing. Just quick little pointers here and there. Nothing too technical or in-depth. I like keeping it simple, you know, I like saving time. So I think showing you guys how I do this in this video is going to be a little interesting. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, so first we got to analyze what we have. Right here we have a cap and a rotor. Now this is the HEI distributors, so the top part would have your coil inside of it. So that's your 12-volt ignition coil. Now, on the original one I have right here, I do have the 12-volt coil in here. It's held in by two screws, one on this side, one on this side. This basically just comes off, and then what I would do is that I'd take the voltage or the 12-volt coil out of here and then install it onto here externally. So without having to take off any of the spark plug wires, I would already have swapped over the guts of this distributor cap into here. So in theory, once that's done, all I could do is, you know, pop off the plugs one by one and then put them in order on this one and then swap out the cap. And then once I get the cap on there, well, I can't exactly put it on 100% because before putting on the cap, I have to put on the new rotor. Now the new rotor is only held in by two screws, as you can see right there. So then once I get that in, it's just as easy as swapping it all on. So, like I said, I'm gonna try to make this as simple and as quick as possible. And hopefully it's something that you guys can take a few notes from. I'd also like to point out all you're gonna need for this is some dielectric grease, a flathead to get off those plugs, and then a freaking Phillip. So honestly, anyone could do this job. So, like I said, we'll hop right in. So there's actually three screws. I completely missed the one that was on the other side, but they're off. So put them somewhere you're not gonna lose them. I already took off the plug and then my tack wire, which is right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off right now. And boom, there's your 12-volt ignition coil. So as you can see here, we got prongs that go down that would go into your plug. And you always gotta make sure you use the right plug, because if you try to half-ass it with these spades, like basic wiring spades like this, you run the risk of them bridging and then burning out your whole unit, because I've had that happen to me before. But you live and you learn. All right, so it's only 4 screws, as you can see. They're right there. Try not to lose them. Keep in mind how this little setup is in there. There's a little spring and a washer. You're gonna have to assemble that in the new one with your little hardware kit, and then make sure there's grease on the inside of this fitting as well as on the spring coil, because that will help transfer the current a lot better with the dielectric grease. And make sure you don't miss this either. This is your ground strap. So that would have gone to this little part over here where it bolts on that 12-volt coil, and then the prongs go down the center. So the new one comes with a fresh one, so you don't have to worry about reusing it, but just remember how it's assembled. It goes right down the center, so right under there. So I know I said this was just going to be a little quick tips and trick kind of video with how to swap out the distributor cap, but I figured this is the perfect opportunity for me to show you guys how to assemble the internals of this. So if you ever find yourself having to swap out a cap and rotor with an HEI setup, you wouldn't have too much struggle assembling it. So we'll go ahead and get into it right now, and we'll go step by step from the inside out, and then we'll go ahead and continue on the assembly and installing the rest of it. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so I know I said this was going to be a quick tip and trick kind of video on how to assemble the distributor for the cap and rotor, but it's a good opportunity for me to show you how to actually assemble the internal part. So here I've already put grease on the edge of this little spring. Now what this does is it transfers the current from the bottom side of this coil, like I had showed you earlier. It's got that little point in there where it should be greased up. Use any kind of dielectric grease, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to pop it in there, center it. Come on, bitch. There we go. And boom. It's as simple as that. Just make sure it's in there straight. And then in addition to that, there's also this ground plug. You want to make sure you put it in and you put it in the right slot. It would go in the middle. It only fits one way, so you can't get this wrong. It's super easy to do all this. Then once you get all that lined up, you basically pop your 12-volt coil back into place. Make sure the prongs right here are lined up with the prongs in there, and they're seated all the way down at the bottom. Double check the bottom of this for any grease. Keep putting grease in there, and then put the cap back on and you're set to go. Once this is all done, you go ahead and start swapping out your plugs and installing them onto this cap. While the cap is off, you'll be able to get the rotor on, as I'll show you guys right now. So back to the rest of the video. So in case you guys are wondering why we're swapping this out, here's the old one. See, it's all nice and charred in there. You can see all the moisture buildup along the side of the walls. So it was just time. I mean, this distributor cap has been on it for a cool while, and I think with the change in temperatures, it was just ready. New one's all set. I got all the lube on there, all greased up, ready to swap over all the plugs. I'm just gonna go one by one and take my time, and then boom, this bitch should be ready to run again. Just like that, new cap and rotor are installed, all the plugs are hooked up, all the freaking wires are done. I'm gonna go ahead and start this thing up right now, make sure there isn't any funky noises coming out of it. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys gained a little bit of insightful information when it comes to installing your new distributor on your small block Chevy, or this applies just about any other distributor setup. I mean, Ford has smaller variations in terms of concepts, but for HEI distributors, that's pretty much it. So yeah, just like that, less than 20 minutes.